Welcome to Two Fools Podcast. This is Drew.
And I'm Dave.
I'm Kayla.
And this is a part 2 of our Daredevil review covering episodes 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Yeah, we kind of binged a bit.
Yeah,
we kind of binged a bit.
Well, we did watch them over 2 days.
And we fell behind on making the podcast for 3 and 4.
Well, I think part of that has to do with episode 3 and 4.
Yeah. Well, good thing you didn't lay any money down on that bet.
On getting to see Fisk, yeah.
Yeah, he was at the end of number 3.
And you really got to know him about 4.
Yeah. So, also...
I like to buy paintings.
I'm liking him. I'm liking him.
Well, before we go any further, just in case you don't know, we're going to be talking about the episodes. All of it. So this is your spoiler warning. If you don't want to get spoiled, if you haven't seen it yet, stop the
You should have stopped the tape last review.
right, and go watch them, then come back and see what you think about what we got to think about.
But I like him.
Well, do we want to do a synopsis of the episode?
Sure. Number 3.
You might want to bring up the Wikipedia.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember number 3, and I really can't.
Matt Murdock does things.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Remember that one episode where he did stuff?
Where he did things?
Terrible, awful things.
Number 3. Rabbit in the Snowstorm, which was the name of the painting.
The name of the painting. Oh, yeah. Okay, number 3 starts off in a bowling alley.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was gratuitous acts perpetrated upon somebody's nugget with a bowling ball.
Yep.
That little review we gave about kids watching it, the violence is getting higher.
You know, I've sat there and watched a few of these, and I'm like, there seems to be one extreme act of violence per episode.
Yeah. Just so happened, number 3, the extreme act of violence was...
Oh, no, they had 2.
Yeah, it was the header and the footer.
Yeah, right.
Guy gets murdered with a bowling ball in a bowling alley, and then a guy impales himself through the skull at the end.
I totally didn't see that coming. To be honest, I thought Matt was going to accidentally kill him, and he was going to have like that weight on him for a while, and then he impales himself, and I was shocked.
Well,
that guy saw it coming. Right in the eye. Yeah. So, this guy goes in to assassinate people during the bowling alley escapades.
He comes in and he acts like he just wants to bowl. Turns out he's an assassin.
And then his gun jams, so he has to beat the guy the hard way.
With a bowling ball. Nonetheless, he gives up, gets arrested.
Yep.
Mr. Wesley, is it?
Yeah, Wesley.
Wesley shows up and hires Foggy and Murdoch to be his counsel. With a really big check.
Yep.
We never get to see how much it was, but apparently it was...
A lot of zeros.
A lot of zeros, and it cleared in 2 seconds. So somebody has a good credit lane.
Is that your official answer?
That's your answer.
Like a bullet. Like a fishy bullet.
But nonetheless, so we're having this whole... They're trying to figure out what exactly is going on, and it's not helping that everything seems like a...
Well, part of the trick is Matt shows his attention to the concept of law. He chooses to defend this man in the confines of the law.
Well, it's... Because this was that moment where Foggy's bit of humanity comes back in.
Yeah.
Where Foggy's talking to the guy and notices, wait a minute, something ain't right here.
Foggy's morality is starting to make an appointment there where he doesn't want to... Because he can feel that this guy's shady.
Yeah, because this guy seems to know a lot about the law. And so Foggy's sitting there like, okay, this isn't this guy's first rodeo, as they both said.
Yep.
So, we kind of get a switch on this. Foggy's wanting to back out. Matt's staying in. Of course, Matt's staying in because he's trying to figure out what this has to do with...
Yeah, he's trying to find connections, get his way to the what's going on behind the scenes.
Yep. And...
You nodding don't help.
Radio.
Okay. Just letting you know, the people totally can't hear you nod.
You know who else who else can't hear you nod?
Deaf people.
You know who else can't see you nod?
Daredevil.
No, he can see that.
Yeah, probably could. He can probably hear your brain switch around your head.
I heard your hair move around.
That's right.
And again, most of this is just dealing with the trial. That and Matt kind of noticing that
Well,
they're rigging the jury as it is.
I was gonna say that was an aspect I enjoyed. The criminal procedure idea of a little LA law kind of esque behavior going on, and Matt can hear that one of the jurors is way more nervous than she should be,
and follows her. It turns out she's being blackmailed by some dude who gets his orders from a light being on in a house somewhere.
yeah, I walk by a building, if the light's on, I got a job. If I don't do it,
modern day Paul Revere right here.
yeah.
Can you imagine the first time he tried to do that with the light being on in the building, and he walked in and some family's like playing Monopoly or something?
I'm sure it was an abandoned
Yeah,
building.
or an office that was hired just to tell people to do
Just
things.
to do that. And
It wasn't just the third house on the left.
Still funny thought in my mind.
Okay.
And nonetheless, it continues on like that till they get the guy acquitted, mainly because it seems like they rigged the jury again.
Well, the jury was hung, and for some reason the guy, I'm not really sure the procedures of why he got out, but he got out.
If there's a hung jury in a trial, 9 times out of 10, that is your trial.
It's dismissed.
It's dismissed. Unless, for some reason, the judge claims a mistrial, and then you have to go back at it.
It could have had something to do with the way that they proceeded, because Matt and Foggy wanted to do something, and the guy waived it and went straight to trial, so I think that was part of it, too.
Well, most of it, as Foggy said, it's too expensive, so they were going to just let it go.
So,
especially since all the evidence they couldn't point to this was an actual plotted murder.
The guy's defense was it was self-defense, and he had gotten beat up in the fight, and the woman who saw part of it, she saw the beginning of him coming in, she saw the end of the fight, and that was a big reason why they were able to make it self-defense, and the concept was prosecution had to prove that it wasn't.
And apparently failed at doing that, so...
Not to mention that they had another juror threatened.
Yep, because she was nervous. Was the head chairman?
I think so.
Yeah, so yeah, even though Matt tried to clean it up and when normally, they still rigged it.
And so Mr. Healy is heading out to his car when he gets a visit from the man in the black mask.
And
Hold on. Kayla, what would you like to say about that?
I don't know. Because I didn't know how to feel during that, because it's like, after all had what happened, I was still really shocked, and everything was just building up, and I didn't know how to process all of that, so I kind of went on a rampage, talking about how Matt Murdock was precious Catholic baby that must be protected.
This has been Your Girly Feelings, brought to you by Kayla.
It's like Matt Murdock fighting everybody with awesome jujitsu skills. Stop hitting my baby!
Tonight on the news, man found dead in alleyway, killed himself on a fence. We go to Kayla with feels at the scene.
I don't care about that guy, but did he just try to hit Matt Murdock? He did. Quit hitting my baby.
Try to stab him, try to hit him with a lead pipe.
It's like,
Yeah, well, so nonetheless...
So Matt gets the name out of here.
Out gets the name Wilson Fisk. For people who know who that is, that's the Kingpin.
And then Healy goes...
And kills himself.
You don't do that. He's going to get me. He's going to get everybody I care about. And that's when he puts his own head on a spike.
And hoping he would save the rest of his loved ones from death.
But don't you think that since he did that, and if someone were to find him, he'd be like, yeah, he must have told.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
He got beat up by a vigilante. They could have said, hey, the black mask guy just shoved him on there.
Yeah, because they weren't sure what Daredevil was about. Most people didn't know the man in the black mask existed at this point.
He's not even Daredevil yet.
Yeah. Most people didn't even know he existed.
He used to be the man in the red mask already. Come on.
All right, calm down.
Calm down.
You're jumping ahead. And so the episode ends with Wilson talking to this woman who I instantly knew who she was because, Marvel history, and he's buying a painting from her.
Yes, that woman turns out to be Vanessa.
Yes.
Who in the comics is his wife, looks like his girlfriend in the...
Well, they're not even anything yet.
They've been on 2 dates, so...
Well, that's the beginning of the fourth episode. Mm-hmm. He comes back and invites her out to dinner and stuff. And...
Yep. Yeah.
Also, we run into the Russians.
Again.
Well, these are the 2 Russians that are in charge of it, brothers.
We've seen them multiple times, though. They just haven't been on the front line.
Yeah, they didn't matter.
But
Yeah, they matter.
No, they matter. They've been the main antagonist until now.
Yeah, they don't matter until they're a part of the main story A.
But nonetheless, the Russians get... Okay, going back to the third episode. The guy murdered the guy at the bowling alley because the guy at the bowling alley owned a cab company.
Well, he owned a lot of things.
Well, yeah, but they were after the cab company, so the Russians could take control of the cab company. Then they could chauffeur around the Chinese drug pushers.
You really want to go into all of that?
I just did.
Yeah, it's so much more than that, though.
I know, but that's all they need to know right now.
Secrets in our spoiler-filled episode.
But that's all they really need to know for this episode. But nonetheless, Russians get a little pressure saying, hey, we're behind schedule because all this man in the black mask BS, you better take care of it.
And that's where we learned that this other guy died so that they could get the taxi cabs and the other holdings could be split amongst the other people in this whole criminal ring.
Yep.
Which is made of the Japanese Yakuza, the Chinese
Triad,
the Russian Mafia, whatever Fisk is going to call himself,
and Old Man Leland the accountant.
Who's probably got his hands in some other pies.
Yeah. But, they get a little pressure, so they start doing their own little work.
And we also, in this mix-up, either episode 3 or 4, we meet Ben Urich.
I think it was 3, I believe.
Yeah.
Because, in 3 we meet Ben Urich, who's a reporter. Yeah, because he met with that other former maid man.
Former mafia guy.
And was talking about the old days and how when you killed a guy, you sent his wife flowers, not killed the rest of the family.
Now you send his wife with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben's a old school newspaper reporter whom, if you've watched or read the comics, you know who he is. If you haven't, he's a very important side character to the Daredevil series. In the comics and even in the movie, he figures out who Daredevil is, but usually keeps it under wraps. Whatever use he is beyond that, I don't know. In this one, he's trying to figure out what's going on, this criminal. His editors want him to do more fluff pieces, and we also learned that his wife's in the hospital, so there's going to be
suffering from something.
Yeah, there's going to be some kind of pressure point there.
Yeah, well, that and he gets pretty much Karen Page stumbles right into his office saying,
"Yep,
I got this.
Hey, look at all this stuff that happened to me."
Put that away. Put that phone away. But look at all the stuff that's happening, and it's suspicious. And so she kind of rings him into being on this case. And
right.
It just kind of gets deeper as time goes on. But, yeah, 4th episode, the Russians start to try to home in on the man in the black mask.
And so they find out his buddy, the nurse,
Claire. Well, first they find out where she lives.
Right.
Go there. Well, they find out where she lives from the guy that Daredevil beat up with the fire extinguisher and whatnot.
Right.
They go to his hospital room, wake him up out of a coma, just to get that information. He dies afterwards, it's assumed.
Maybe, who knows.
Yeah. Well, nonetheless, they go to her house, don't find her apartment, don't find her, but the Mexican kid decides to show up right there, and he gets probably a face full of Russian knuckle sandwich.
Yeah, he gets beat for a bit.
Yeah.
Because Matt
finds him just...
Matt has a burner phone that he is for Claire to call him, and there's probably a good... probably another person or two that he uses that number with. And she gives him a call because the Russians show up and are kidnapping her. So he tries to track them down and loses them. So he goes back to Claire's apartment, finds the Spanish kid that's upstairs, the one who pulled him out of the dumpster, and talks to him a bit and figures out what's going on.
And so, there's a bunch of him going after them. They start trying to get information out of her. After a while, he finds where they're at and cleans house on the Russians.
Anything you'd like to add?
Other than Matt and Claire have a thing going on, and I know it's going to happen.
Well, yeah, I mean, it kind of happens in that episode, I believe.
Kind of. More of a comfort, I'm here kind of thing, but I believe there's going to be more.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
They do seem to have a chemistry.
And Foggy and
Karen,
I believe, have awesome Foggy baseball skills.
Later. Skipping ahead.
It's alright. This seems to be a free flow on the 5 episodes. So,
no, we're going point by point. Really.
Anywho, they get
Anyway, he beats them up, gets Carol out of there. At the same time, Claire. At the same time, one of the brothers, Anatoly, I believe.
He decides. So, with the disruption of all the business, Wesley comes and visits them and says, "Listen, my employer is willing to help you, and Vladimir is angry, but
when is Vladimir not angry?
Anatoly is willing to work within the confines of the deals, so he goes to see Fisk. Unfortunately, he goes to see Fisk when Fisk is on his date, which causes a big scene, which I got to say personally seemed really stupid. If this guy loves his anonymity so much, why would you go there? Like Wesley says to him in a joke, a phone call would have been appreciated.
Yeah, well, he's in love.
Well, Fisk is, but Anatoly's smarter than this.
I don't know. I don't know. That's bad. That might be a case of bad writing 101.
That's why I'm bringing it up.
They wanted an excuse to kill him off.
Yeah, they just wanted an excuse to show the viciousness of Fisk.
That's also a case of bad writing 101. But nonetheless, yeah, he interrupts the date, which embarrasses the Kingpin, Fisk, whatever you want to call him. They drive out in the middle of nowhere, and Anatoly proceeds to get his ass kicked around an abandoned park.
And in fact, Wilson shows him the bottom of his Cadillac SUV, and at least the back door, enough times till
decapitates him with the back door.
Anatoly's head breaks.
Yeah.
How'd that make you feel?
I have to say, although they're both bad guys, I was kind of rooting for the Russian mafia guy to win, because I don't know, something about it's like I was hoping that guy would get out, or
I can tell you exactly why.
It's because that was brutal.
Exactly.
That was bad.
It came at him so crazy and so brutal that you instantly are going to pull for the underdog in this case.
It's like watching.
And that was part of, we'll call scene manipulation. They want you to think that Fisk is this bad, because he is this bad.
On that note, I think they also had Fisk be very, very brutal, because he's... In the comics, Kingpin is a man of giant stature.
Yes.
He can reach out and just crush somebody's head with his hand.
In the comics,
almost.
He's tall, he's wide. Everyone makes fun that he's fat, but he's very, very strong and conditioned.
And since we don't have anyone playing the role of Fisk that is that size, we have Vincent D'Onofrio. He's not doing a bad job.
Not at all.
He's just not a big dude. So I think they made him that vicious to kind of get the point across.
I gotta be honest with you, with the way he talks to people and the way he carries himself, I wonder sometimes if this characterization of Fisk isn't supposed to have some kind of social or mental disorder.
He might have social anxiety. He does state he doesn't like being out in public that much. So he might have an extreme form of social anxiety. You notice he has a tick that every time he's saying something uncomfortable, he goes for his cufflinks.
Yeah, he's touching his cufflinks that his dad wore every day or something.
So he has some kind of something going on, because he has that tick every time he has to do or say something uncomfortable.
And Wesley seems to be a little strange as well, since he just sat there quietly as this dude's head was being smashed to pieces.
Wesley's a sociopath.
Well,
he got angry if you mentioned Fisk's name.
Well, that's because that's the rules.
Yeah,
that's the rules. Sociopaths follow rules very well.
Which that one brother, Russian brother, didn't seem to care at the time.
Right, Vladimir.
Well, Vladimir's always angry.
And so we go to episode 5, World on Fire. And that's where we find that Vladimir has been told that Anatoly has been killed by the man in the mask. And then someone comes along and just, hey, I got a boy working down at the garage, and he said he saw this car being washed off, and it just happened to belong to Fisk. So Vladimir puts one and one together and realizes that those two are working together.
And so he pretty much puts out the call, all my boys here, get all the guns, all the rockets, all the grenades.
And that's when we see explosions.
Yes, Fisk had a meeting with everybody else to pretty much plot against the Russians and end it.
And Fisk goes on his second date with Vanessa.
And they're having a grand old time.
And she's asking him all kinds of questions. And then Fisk asks her, what kind of gun you got in your purse? And she explains it's a .22 and wants to know if she needs to be worried about her safety. Which Fisk says, when you're with me, you don't have to. I'll never lie to you, yada yada. They're building a wonderful, trustworthy relationship together. But she knows he's a dangerous man and, still doesn't run for the hills. I'm not sure what they're trying to say there, but...
love is love.
And he explains his reasoning behind the choices he's making. Fisk has a desire to see a better city. He's just willing to burn things down to replant.
And about the time we get to that point in the conversation, a number of the triad drug carriers
who just happen to be blind, by the way.
Well, I think they all had... It looks like they're burned.
Well, so yeah, I know.
It seems like all of them got a nice chemical bath before.
It just seemed kind of funny.
So, nonetheless, just about every location Russians are gearing up, they get a visit from a drug drop. All the drug drops at the same time lift up a little button and go click and kaboom. About 5 different places go up in smoke.
4.
4? Yeah. Okay, 4 or 5 nonetheless. They go up in smoke. Oh, we skipped something.
What did we miss?
Beforehand, Foggy and Matt get a case from a Hispanic grandmama.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to remember how that... the little lady shows up at their door, knocking on the door.
Saying she had heard from a friend that these people would help her.
She's calling her landlord Mr. Tully. Mr. Tully wants people to move out because it's rent controlled, and he wants to demolish the place so he can put new condominiums up. So when she has problems with her apartment, he sends some workers around who realistically just make a mess of the place and make it...
Try to get her to move out.
Yeah, unlivable, and then they're worried about their safety, so they don't come back. And so Foggy and Karen go down and investigate what's going on and help her out. And
while Matt goes to the precinct to get get complaint files on Tully.
That's right.
And so he's sitting there waiting for Mahoney, the Foggy's friend on the force.
And while he's there, he hears 2 police officers interrogating a Russian guy, and the one looks to his buddy and goes, I did it last time. It's your turn.
Well, the guy makes the mistake of saying Wilson Fisk.
Right. And so they make like this guy's fighting them and steals their gun, and then they put a bullet in him right there in the precinct.
And as I have said, pretty much the whole precinct, except for maybe Mahoney, is on the take.
And so...
Firebomb it and let Jesus settle it.
Well, episode 6, kind of that episode, is firebombed. Now we got to deal with the repercussions of what happened in the city. Yeah. All these buildings burning. Matt ends up saving Vladimir from...
Well, Matt ends up tracking down Vladimir after the kaboom to get Vladimir, and I'm going to take you in and end this. But the police show up.
Right, and that was the end of episode 5. Beginning of episode 6, Matt deals with these police officers.
And these are all corrupt officers. They were coming to shoot Vladimir, not to arrest him.
And so Matt gets his way out of that.
Dragging a half-dead Russian all over the city.
And he finds his way into an abandoned warehouse. Or a factory or something. And it's inside here that he starts trying to help Vladimir not die by cauterizing him with a road flare. That was fun.
Via suggestion of Claire while she's on the phone, sure. And she's getting a little enjoyment out of listening to the man that had her beat up.
So what'd you think about that, buddy?
Claire getting her secret revenge. That's why I like Claire's personality. Is she's a really nice. She could be a really nice woman. I mean, she's a nurse. She's supposed to save you and help you. But by God, if you cross her.
Well, she knows where to stick the knife. She knows how to burn the flesh with a road flare.
Just don't mess with doctors or nurses.
It's secret revenge.
Don't do it.
It tastes so good. Just don't tell nobody about it.
But nonetheless, a good bit of this episode is more Matt Murdock and a very pissed off Russian hiding from
It's
the
like the
cops
weirdest buddy cop film
ever.
with guys who aren't anywhere near being cops.
And I will say this, we kept making jokes about, hey, go to the sewers, maybe the turtles can help you. They almost did accidentally.
Well, so rookie cop hears the Russian guy screaming as he's being burned by the road flare.
Yeah.
So he goes to investigate, which Matt catches him and tells him, listen, I'm going to take my knee off your throat. You're going to call Central and tell them it was a false alarm.
Well, dumbass second day on the force.
Well, 2 months, but yeah.
He acted as much as the second day on the force. Decides he's just going to shout, oh my God, get here now! And so Matt knocks him out and ties him up.
Right, handcuffs him and duct tapes him, and then the police show up around the outside and helicopters, and that's when we're sitting there on the couch watching this going, dude, they're going to have to go to the sewers. There ain't nowhere else for them to go.
And about that time, Vladimir gets feisty, and we have a throwdown.
And then he rock bottoms through 2 floors of stairs to the 3rd floor concrete.
Yeah, Matt Murdock rock bottoms Vladimir for 2 sets of floors and goes to the bottom floor.
How'd you feel about your little Catholic baby when he did that?
I was wondering how he was still alive. I think that's the summary of this entire show is, how are you still alive?
Daredevil, his superpower is, I don't die.
And genetically, I didn't feel
Murdoch's
anything when he did that to himself because he kind of brought it on himself, so...
Yeah. Well, the Russian's heart stopped, but Matt put it back together with some punches to the chest.
And, there's this tit for tat with Vladimir and Matt, like, I'm not like you. And it's like, oh, yes, you are. You're just...
That's when the radio comes on.
Yep. New cop's walkie-talkie fell down there with them.
And Wilson Fisk got on it.
Just happened to have
He's got partners. He's got friends.
Again, he just happened to get a hold of a cop radio.
Well, Wesley went and picked it up.
I know, but we're just going to...
It's what he does.
It's air quotes. He just happens to get a hold.
Oh, that wasn't no happen. Wesley, go in there and get me a damn radio.
And he got him a radio.
That's what Wesley do.
And so they have this back and forth over the radio. Wilson Fisk, like, you're a lot like me. I'm not like you.
And while that's going on, we see some sniper getting ready on a rooftop. Now, here's where it gets fun. Fisk is hinting, oh no, you're the bad guy. You're never going to see me. This is the last conversation we'll ever have. Matt gets mad, because, he's got the devil in him. And
at the same time, Fisk is sitting there between, clicking to talk, looking at Wesley and go, hey, call the news groups, get them out there.
So this dude's got his fat criminal hands in all kinds of pockets of Hell's Kitchen. The news report starts stating, hey, we got this video of the masked guy beating up cops. Hey, we got this. Could he have been the guy who made the bombs? And then sniper guy. 1, 2, 3, he starts shooting cops. Not only does he start shooting cops, but he seems to be shooting the corrupt ones.
The corrupt cops. The first one being Blake.
Yeah.
Which is one of the dudes that killed the Russian in the interview room.
Though, to be fair, with the way the scene goes, was the guy trying to shoot Ben or was the guy trying to shoot the cop?
If he's a sniper worth his salt, he was aiming for the cop, and the camera work was just making us think he was after Ben. Because Ben, what's his last name? Urich was on the scene. He was on the scene trying to get the story, and they couldn't do anything because at first Wilson Fisk charge the building, get rid of him, we're done. But Wesley's like, but Ben Urich's there, and
the reporter who busted the Allied construction story.
Yeah. Fisk was like, oh crap, that guy. Well, okay, let's go with Plan B.
So they make their way down into. Matt hears the subway underneath the building, and
there just happens to be a sewer vent.
Make their way through that into the underworkings, and that's when Vladimir realizes A, he's going to die, and B,
before
the guy in the mask has nothing to do with the death of his brother.
Yeah, he does realize that, but before that, we get to see dumbass on the scene, I've been on the force 2 months, gets stabbed by his own comrades.
by some of the corrupt cops.
Some of the corrupt SWAT team finds him tied up and goes, Officer Sullivan was found dead on the scene. He's like, stab.
How'd that make you feel?
Well...
You're going to be our designated feeler.
Oh, okay. That's alright.
Get the feeling.
When the corrupt cop gets stabbed, as I mentioned before...
No. The rookie cop.
Oh, my bad. The rookie cop.
The good cop, because he hasn't been there long enough to be bribed, apparently.
Like I said before, he really shouldn't have gone in there alone. Because you're not supposed to technically go alone, if I remember any lessons. Don't be the victim, and he kind of was the victim. He became the victim.
Well, you should explain where you learned these lessons from.
Law and public enforcement and law and public safety. Our teacher taught us that if you hear or see something, don't go alone. Call for backup. Wait for backup.
Right.
Just make sure nothing goes on around.
Where was this class when I was in high school?
So you didn't go to Westside where we learned the 3 R's. Rolling, revolvers, and running from the man.
No, I went to Anderson District 1. I went to Wren.
So you went to country high school.
Yeah, well, I had civics class. I got to be the judge in our mock trial.
There you go.
And you're not supposed to go in alone. Well, he made that big mistake.
Sure.
The force. You're not supposed to go in alone. And not only did he get attacked by Daredevil, I wouldn't say attacked, but...
No, he got attacked.
I would say put out of the way by Daredevil. What he thought was his own allies stabbed him in the throat. So, in my opinion, an entire Hell's Kitchen don't go alone.
It was at that moment that I got onto the Drew, we need to bomb the precinct.
Well, no, I've been saying that since I figured out that most of the precinct's corrupt. It's like, you know what, just firebomb the place, let Jesus sort it out.
I hate to say it this way, but they really do need a Commissioner Gordon in that place. They need a cop who's going to...
a giant can of cop raid. Raid!
I think I'm going to get Captain.
And so... Matt gets away while Vladimir makes his final stand to buy him some time.
Well, some of the SWAT follow him. Matt kicks the butt. The Russian guy gets hold of gun, points at Matt. Matt's like, really? We're going to do this right now? And Russian guy's like, you know what? I'm not going to make it. I'm going to get up and start shooting people coming after me.
He goes out off screen like a John Wayne hero.
But you hear enough bullets flying that he probably took somebody with him.
And so that leads us into episode 7. The one Drew's been waiting on.
Stick!
Now, does that tell you who played this guy?
I can look. Let me look.
So,
Stick.
Stick's an interesting fella. For those who don't know, he's a blind man who he teaches Daredevil how to use his abilities and how to fight, and he's probably under reoccurring.
I'm not seeing him anywhere. Well, keep talking. I'm looking.
Sure. There he is, Scott Glenn.
Scott Glenn. I told you when it said
guest
starring, I was like, that has to be the guy.
I don't know who Scott Glenn is.
Well, I don't know who he is either, but I'm just saying when it says guest starring, that usually means...
So this shows a flashback of Matt as a child shortly after his father's death. He's in a Catholic orphanage and freaking out from all the sounds, and they hired Stick to come in and help him. And so he's giving him this whole... What do you hear around the world? The world's rough. You gotta toughen up.
I was going to say it's more like, what do you hear? Quit being a pansy. The world sucks. Get used to it.
Oh yeah, this guy took his learning to raise children directly from the Hit Them with a Television Stand book
from the school of Arlie Ermy.
I don't know. I think the Gunny is a little bit more caring than that guy.
I don't know, but nonetheless, yeah, this guy's a hard ass.
And so we come back to the normal time, and he shows back up 20 years later
in Japan when he first pops in.
It was sure, but.
Yeah. And he's hunting down this dude. And...
Well, he's hunting down a weapon called Black Sky. We don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm. And so he ends up back in Hell's Kitchen. And
that's where he runs across Matt again.
Well, Matt was in the middle of beating down old man Leland when Stick distracts Matt, and then Matt gets the taser to the chest.
Because he can smell gun oil, but he can't smell taser? I don't know, plastic and ozone and metal, I guess.
I was going to say he would have smelled the ozone from the electricity.
But not until activated.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, nonetheless, Leland gets away, and they have their, oh, it's been so long since I've seen you. If that was, cold and angry, and just
What'd you think of
Stick?
I thought Stick was trying to be more of the teacher. Like he's supposed to be, but at the same time, kind of military. Like
No, you can say it. Go ahead and say what you're really thinking.
He's a jerk. He's a really big jerk, but he was a jerk that proved a point to Matt, and I think Matt just wouldn't be the person he is today if it wasn't for Stick. So he's that character that I guess the director kind of wants you to dislike, but at the same time you can't help but appreciate what this guy's done for Matt.
Oh, I think he's a prick.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, and, I could see that in your eyes every once in a while. I look, and you kind of had that look of that son of a bitch.
I get the character. I understand what he's supposed to be. He's not a character I'm interested in.
Dave.
But Matt, he was trying to make Matt not get emotionally attached to him, So of course he's gonna be a jerk.
And all he did is accomplished was making Matt become emotionally attached to him.
Well, no, yeah, but no, I was like, but Dave, it was the part you're waiting for. He got the sticks.
Yes, he does get his Joe sticks because they're going to go down to the docks and break up this shipment. And Stick takes an oath, I won't kill anybody. So Matt's ninja yanking Yakuza, whatever. Yakuza off the docks, and we saw babyface 16-year-old fat kid disappear.
No. I was going to say third, or was it fourth? No,
who cares?
Third Yakuza that he takes out. Again, when you watch this, does it not look like he's like 15?
Donk upside the head. I hope he can swim because he went off the dock.
But
didn't hear a splash.
No, we didn't hear a splash, but I was sitting there, I was like, was this bring your child to work day?
How else are going to learn the ropes of the business?
Because, again, that guy looked young and kind of chunky.
And so they open up the shipping dock, and there's like, I don't know, I thought he looked like a 9-year-old Egyptian boy. I was like, ooh, is it Little Apocalypse? But no.
No. It's some kind of weapon, probably a mutant, I don't know.
Well, he could have been a mutant, he could have had a disease. We don't know what the little dude was.
Yeah.
All we know is this little kid sitting there, probably 9 or 10-year-old boy, in chains, and he's the only thing in the giant shipping container. And Stick's got his,
little makeshift bow and arrow.
Yeah, he's got a collapsible bow that he's put together, and he's Japanese-style archery, using his Zen skills. I don't know. Maybe he can taste the way to shoot. And Matt hears it and decides to deflect it. And
it, scratches black sky.
They rush him into the car, and he beats up the Yakuza.
And Stick disappears.
Yep.
And then we cut back to Matt's apartment, and there's Stick just sitting there waiting, and Matt does the slow walk downstairs, I'm angry at you look kind of deal. Throws the Joe sticks back to Stick.
Right.
And, I thought you said you wouldn't kill anybody. And
You made a promise, Blurg.
Yeah, it's like you made a promise not to kill anybody. And Stick's like, I did. He doesn't say anything else.
Yeah.
And then they continue to kind of have a back and forth. And Stick's finally like, well, while you were having a...
While you were dicking around with the
boys, I went and killed Black Sky. And then they have a big old blind fight in the middle of Matt's apartment.
Which was interesting. Breaking furniture, wrecking rooms. I don't understand why blind people need lights on, though.
It helps the normies feel
There are none there.
Just in case there were normies. They needed the light.
Can you imagine Matt having to explain that to somebody who comes over again? What happened to his furniture, though?
Squirrels. There were squirrels.
I fell.
I fell.
I fell.
Twice.
I just kept falling. I don't understand it. But nonetheless, he and Stick have their big old punch up, throw down, kick face, whatever.
Get out of my city.
And, it's pretty much kind of a standstill. They beat the crap out of each other.
Well, obviously Stick is much more skilled, and Matt is younger and can take more of a beating, which is kind of his theme through these episodes.
And nonetheless, they end it. Matt gets up, tosses Stick's bag at him, and says, "Get out of my city."
And he's like, "Keep the sticks, you're going to need them."
Yeah, Stick's like, you can keep the sticks. You're really going to need them. Just walks out, bit of bleeding.
Stick explains how Matt wanted a dad and he wanted a soldier.
In a flashback,
They just didn't seem to.
Yeah. I mean, personally, this is my least favorite episode.
I enjoyed Stick, but I like those kind of crass
characters.
Frickin' Dr. Gregory House was my favorite thing on TV for ages. So.
Well, House was kind of a prick, but he was also very skilled, and in the end, he did his job.
Well, you could say the same thing for Stick, whatever his job is.
Other than House's addiction problem, he wasn't a liar.
Again, but after that goes on...
I'm just saying, you're using that as a comparison. Yeah. In my opinion, House has morals. Stick
House
doesn't.
lied plenty of times. House lied plenty of times.
Maybe so. I mean, I didn't watch every episode.
I have all the seasons. House lied plenty of times. But let's put it this way. I think the more comparison you're making is House lied for the greater good.
I don't know, but...
Though you could argue Stick might have lied for the greater good, because we don't know what Black Sky did.
Sure. And while I appreciated House as the intelligent doctor, a.k.a. Sherlock Holmes of the medical world, his acrid personality was not the reason I tuned in.
It was for me.
Which is probably why I didn't watch a lot of them.
I was going to say, it was for me. I loved the character of that, and he's being played by one of my favorite comedians. House, not Stick. I don't know who Stick's being played by. I've never heard of him.
Hugh Laurie.
Yeah. I was going to say, I've not heard of Scott Glenn.
Well, click his name real quick.
I don't know where is he.
Keep going up. Right there.
Scott Glenn. I don't know what he's been in.
Yeah, he's got some big old ears.
That he does. We need to keep talking.
He's been acting since the 70s.
Yeah, so he's had a lot of... He was in Sucker Punch. Interesting.
Okay. Oh, yeah, he was the bus driver at the end of it.
But and the board... He's been in some stuff, so, okay. He's got some acting chops.
I wonder how these actors are making themselves be blind in this show. I wonder if it's just discipline, don't move your eyes, or if they're wearing contacts, or...
I think it's just discipline. Well, that, and a lot of the times you see these guys that have sunglasses on.
Well, sure, but even the scenes where the camera's coming from the side, their eyes still aren't moving.
Or maybe they've got an optometrician... the eye doctor. Optician there.
I don't know. I know what you meant.
He's dilating their eyes or something to where they just don't react or something. I don't know.
It's interesting. I wonder what they do.
But nonetheless, that happens. Then we cut back to Karen with...
Karen and Foggy.
It was more Karen because she goes to meet with Ben.
Well, first she's talking to the... Mrs. C. I can't remember her Spanish name.
Yeah.
And then she decides to leave, and she's about to get jumped.
She talks to Ben for a bit, and then she goes and sees the Spanish grandma.
You're getting it out of order.
I guess.
She goes to visit Spanish grandma. When she leaves, Foggy helps save her from the muggers.
Who pretty much are working for Tully or Fisk or somebody. Because...
And then that's when they both go see Ben at the end of the episode.
Well, she had seen Ben before, earlier in the episode, in the car.
Yeah, that could have been a different episode as well.
But nonetheless, they go and see Ben, and Foggy kind of gets clued in on what they've been working on, because they got the board.
That's one of the disadvantages of watching 5 episodes, is that they all kind of run in as one big story.
But at the same time, this was kind of a very action-packed
block
of stuff.
What I was going to say was that's one of the... something you could say is a good thing about this series so far is that it doesn't feel like 7 episodes. It feels like one good long story.
Yeah. And it's doing real good. Again, we would say, look back, you might have problems. I don't have a problem with anything.
Well, I didn't care for it. Like I said, I don't care for the Stick character. I didn't know him in the comics.
Actually, we should do one more thing before we do that.
Sure.
At the very end of that episode, Stick is reporting to someone. I have no clue who he is reporting to.
I don't know who he is either. He's some dark-haired man with a lot of scars on him.
Scars, and he sounds...
I wouldn't look. Don't cheat. Don't look.
It doesn't even say. It just says mysterious scarred man.
So, I'm going to go with Ra's al Ghul. I know. He's DC. That's just how powerful Ra's al Ghul is.
There's another Marvel versus DC moment, ladies and gents. Hey. So are they going to vote on who wins?
I don't know. Ra's wins, because even if you kill him, he comes back.
Cubs win. But I haven't had a problem with anything.
What about you? You got any?
No, not that I can think of at the top of my head. I actually like how everything's playing and going along. And and I get overly excited about it.
Why don't you talk about that thing you like about Foggy and Paige and
the little thing going on, like when Foggy was in the hospital, or at least being tended to, because he had gotten hurt on his side
during the explosions.
Yeah. He didn't even recognize he was getting hurt, and
adrenaline.
He was wanting to get up and go find Matt because they couldn't get a hold of Matt. Matt wasn't picking up his phone because he was going off doing his thing.
Be a daredevil.
And there's just an instant click, and at the end of all of it, Karen goes, "No, you're not allowed to get up. You have to stay here." And he's like, "Oh, but Matt would have done it for me." And she's like, "Yeah, that's really nice, but you gotta stay here." And he ends up staying there, and he responds back to her with, "What a crazy first date, right?" And I was like, that's a connection right there. It's something happening. There's something going on. Of course there's something going on, duh.
And later on when Mrs. C says that he's a handsome man, and she's like, "Matt? No, Senor Foggy.
Oh, yeah.
You think Foggy's handsome? No man's as handsome as he is when he's in love," she says.
And he was like, "Yay!" And then she goes, "Christ!"
Because we're not sure what Karen feels at the moment. Maybe she doesn't want to get mixed up in any office romance at all.
And I respect that. I respect that highly about her.
And we do, personally, I'm watching the episode, and it might be a little meta, but I'm liking the chemistry between Matt and Nurse Claire. Mm-hmm. And I think the way that they're portraying Karen and Foggy, I think it's interesting because Karen and Foggy are bringing out the best of each other.
Yeah. Foggy beating punks with baseball bats and softballs.
Trying to start softball teams.
Baseball skills.
Hey, he then told him if he heals up a little bit, he could start pitching for the Mets.
Yeah, because it's the Mets.
Hey, I hear them Mets, you like them. They suck, right?
But, again, I'm liking... Just about the only nitpick I would have would be... Fist seems a bit more neurotic than confident, but that just might be their telling of it.
You keep saying Kingpin, but I think in this story, he's not the Kingpin yet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This thing is showing his rise.
It could be. Again, because Vanessa's not his wife in this.
Right, not yet.
So, again, it could be something a little different than what we're used to.
Well, and that's the whole point is, not only are we seeing the rise of Daredevil, but we're seeing the rise of Kingpin. Yeah.
I kind of feel as if Daredevil is he's showing signs of becoming the very person he just doesn't like.
You want to try that again in English?
He's
showing signs of being the type of person he doesn't want to be?
Yeah.
Non-Disca.
To me, I think he is. I think there's something happening.
The devil's coming out in the Murdoch is maybe what you're trying to say?
I think so, and he's not going to like it at first.
He's gonna have to come to terms with this inner demon of himself and put it to work. And maybe that's when the red costume will show up?
Maybe.
So far, he's still the man in the black mask. And
yeah, well, you gotta find somebody that will actually make you the suit.
Or make it himself. Hey, have you ever seen the original Daredevil costume?
We've been over the yellow and brown. We don't need to bring it back up.
Mustard
right.
Suit.
That's right. See, made it himself.
Mutard.
Blind guys making mutard costumes. Mutard being the French word for mustard.
Mustard.
And Dave's now favorite name for a dwarf.
Nice. I want to make a dwarf named Mutard, the Destroyer.
Either way,
Mustard the Destroyer.
from what I've seen,
Beware hot dogs.
It's interesting. It's got subterfuge. It's got action. It's got interesting characters.
Well, my favorite part of this whole block was my first favorite thing was the court case. I enjoyed the court case. Mm-hmm. You got to see Murdoch and Foggy being lawyers, which is like half the shtick of this character.
Well, also when they first got the tenant lady, you got to see Foggy go pretty badass in the other lawyer's office.
Right.
So Foggy had his time to shine.
Sure,
but.
And then my second favorite part was the strangest buddy cop ever between Daredevil and Vladimir.
They're like salt buddies.
Don't worry, we will get into the sewer and then get saved by turtles.
Instead of Stick, he gets trained by Hamato Yoshi.
He's only Hamato Yoshi in the cartoon.
Yes, I know, but that's the one I like the best.
That's fine. I'm just...
It's the one I like the best.
Kayla's like, yeah, turtles. Yeah, I know those references.
I understood that reference. Doesn't mean I quite comprehend everything.
Well, what do you like so far in this little block?
All the feels.
All of them feels. Like at the end when he hands him the stick and it's just... Yay. That's all I can put together is... Yay.
You have now heard review by a teenage girl.
Working on it.
All feels, all the time.
Hey, it's okay. You can be our designated feeler.
Someone's got to.
We now go to the scene. Kayla, what's the feels?
Oh my god! Why would you do that to my baby?
And back to the office.
Excuse us, the field reporter's having a breakdown.
We'll be right back after these messages.
You get that bucket of ice cream on set.
Oh my goodness. I'm looking forward to seeing where this is going. I really am.
Well, we've got 6 more episodes.
Yeah.
Despite all
So,
I think we should watch a 3-episode block next time.
sure.
I think despite all my feels jokes here, I really do like the person Matt is becoming, and even Foggy as well.
As who they are, or...
Well, Foggy as who he is,
Right.
and we get to see more of who he is, and as Matt as who he's becoming, kind
Yeah,
of.
but you gotta realize is that Matt's a dual identity, so when you
Yeah.
say that, you gotta explain, do you like Matt as the lawyer, or do you like Murdoch as the vigilante?
A little bit of both, actually.
The
'Cause
column
we've only got to see really more of Matt. We've got to see more of how Matt became...
I was about to say, when he's Daredevil, he don't really have too much of a personality.
No.
It's
he
punch
doesn't-
people in the head till they stop fighting.
But he's landing his kicks, and that's what matters.
Oh, yes, that was something.
Yes, the running joke with Kayla. He's landing his kicks.
Episode 1, I'm flailing. Episode 2, I've got to stop flailing. Episode 3, I got to stop flailing.
So, yeah, he starts getting a lot more competent in these episodes with his combat skills.
Like,
We're
he did a
seeing less
backflip.
and less of the reverting to the boxing, if you've noticed.
Well, that fight where he's fighting around the car with Healy,
Yeah.
that's a lot of close quarter, and he's using a lot of boxing plus
Yeah, but
dodging.
We're seeing a lot less recently.
What about that flip kick thing?
That backflip kick.
Oh, at the beginning of like episode 7, that was just ridiculous. Or was it 6? I don't remember.
It was
fun.
Getting out of sticks like wrist lock, or is that what you're talking
No,
about?
when the cop had him handcuffed and he did that backflip.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, backflip.
Oh,
that-
I wanted to
that-
restart the episode and just watch that again.
That was the beginning of episode 6.
Yeah, that was great. I don't care. He's just...
I wonder how many times it took them to film that right.
They have wires.
Probably.
And
Unless
stunt-
the guy's really good, they have wires.
And
Like
stunt
Jackie Chan
doubles.
level.
Yeah, that's one advantage of having a guy in a mask. I don't know if the guy does his own stunts or not, but yeah. It was still fun.
He's no Jackie Chan, but
Well, nobody's Jackie Chan.
Jam.
Jackie Chan. Bless that man.
Well, I think that's about it.
So, any desires of hope? What you get to hope to see in the future?
Who's the scarred guy now is what I want to know.
Is that your new one?
Yeah.
Well, so Stick had made a reference that there's somebody out there that Fisk is afraid of.
Yeah.
And I'm betting it's a Japanese boss that trained him in the comics. I think his name was Ogun, but I'm not sure.
Could be.
And I'm still hoping Stiltman shows up.
Stiltman.
I really hope they don't do a Bullseye and Elektra yet. I hope they save that for season 2.
If there is a season
Or at least.
Oh, I'm sure there's
Or
gonna
at
be.
least the season 1, or at least like the last episode. Of
We got
season 1.
7. Yeah, I mean 6. You got to fit them in there. quick.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to happen in this season.
Mentions of it, maybe.
You never know.
Well, like you said, this is the kind of the rise of Daredevil and kind of
Uh-huh.
rise of Kingpin. I
Right.
don't think they're gonna show up.
Well,
But then again, I don't know much about the Daredevil storylines.
right. Well, I mean, I'm hoping that there's going to be another kind of quote-unquote superhero bad guy.
Again, imagine that, kids. A rise of a superhero without a uber cheesy British accent. Batman.
You mean supervillain without a over cheesy bit.
I think I'm most excited to see more of Matt Murdock's cases. I kind of want to see more of that. I want to see more of him actually go to court and put that knowledge he got when he was a kid into use. I want to see that.
It's because he reads Braille.
Yeah.
Don't lie to yourself. You want to see him come out in that big red sweatshirt saying, "I'm not Daredevil."
Kayla just wants to see him hug the nurse.
Hugger!
Oh.
Oh, you already did? Do it again.
That's right. Hug from Mama.
Do it.
Wait.
Well,
Do it.
I I think that's it for tonight. So, from Two Fools Podcast, this is Drew.
And Dave.
This was Kayla.
Have a good night.